morning, Mr. Chair. I want to thank the witnesses for being here and for making this important study. Oh, so they automatically turned it on. So I just wanted to start off by let's drill down a little bit on the Canadian Media Fund. $340,000 taxpayer money went to Anastasia Trofimov. And anyway, she, as you mentioned, was a former employee of RT, Russian television today. Do you believe that the government of Canada should recoup those funds for funding Russian misinformation?
Absolutely. I think it's... Sorry, I don't know if that was directed to me.
Both witnesses.
Yeah, sorry. Well, I'll start then.
If you can start.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I think it's scandalous that Canadian taxpayer money funded this production, and we call for a full investigation as to what she said on her application. Did she disclose that she worked for RT? Because of course RT has scrubbed any reference to her from their website. They understand that that's a liability now. But we need to understand whether the Canadian funding agencies knew that she was a former employee. She produced 11 films for them. Whether they knew that she was entering sovereign Ukrainian territory with an invading army that is committing war crimes. So these are questions that need to be asked, and I think the funding should be refunded, because I am sure that the Kremlin is just giggling at how clever they were in tricking Canadians.
Are there witness any comment on that propaganda film?
Thank you. So the RCDA opposes any film that minimizes or hides the atrocities committed by the Russian government or the Russian army in its invasion of Ukraine. At the same time, we do believe that there's a place for honest journalism and documentary films from the conflict. The RCDA doesn't have information. We have not seen this film, but if the investigation shows that this film was organized under false pretenses on its application and was made with the knowledge and approval of the Russian government, then we do support further action.
So wouldn't we just assume, though, if there's a journalist or a media, or in this case a director embedded with the Russian troops, that they're there with the blessing of the Kremlin?
I can speak to that. Absolutely. It is inconceivable that Russian military intelligence did not know that this woman spent 7 months embedded in occupied territory. It just...
What's the role of the Canadian government then, other than getting back our taxpayer dollars? What role do they have in seeing whether or not that she actually filmed, maybe has footage of war crimes being committed, which of course are all glossed over in the propaganda film, and what international rules did she, or laws that she essentially broke that the government has not yet taken any action on?
So we know she violated Ukrainian law by entering into occupied territory without the permission of Ukrainian authorities. There is the possibility of violation of sanctions, and the RCMP would be well served to investigate the circumstances around her filming of this documentary. And of course, the RCMP is collecting evidence of war crimes and should seize her footage. She claims she saw no evidence of war crimes, but in 7 months, we know that every single territory that is liberated from Russian occupation, we find evidence of war crimes. We know that they are torturing and executing Ukrainian prisoners of war. So it's inconceivable that in the 7 months she saw nothing.
Okay. You said that you've had a couple of meetings with the former and the current Minister of Public Safety about Russian disinformation, and you are not satisfied with the response that you've received to date from either, I'm assuming it was Minister Blair and his predecessor?
No, I should clarify, it was with Minister Mendicino.
Okay.
He did not take up our request to make a public statement, and we have not been able to secure a meeting with Minister LeBlanc.
Okay. So won't even meet with you on this important issue and how we deal with disinformation. So another cover-up in the works here. Can we, you mentioned other activities of the Russian Federation and going back to Soviet times. Do you believe that journalism in this country is outside of social media, which we know that they've really penetrated in, and RT, of course, and other propaganda tools that they've used, but are any of our mainstream media, do you believe, has been compromised by either the Soviets or the Kremlin today?
Well, I think if you look at the reporting, it is very often word for word what is coming out of the Kremlin and out of the Russian embassy. So I'll say to you, Mr. Bazan, if it walks like a duck and talks like a duck, it's not a chicken.
How much? 12? So just in closing, are you aware of any evidence of any journalists today that, or academics that are being compromised because of ties back to the Kremlin?
We know that at the University of Ottawa, there is a regular contributor to Russia television, and we know that at the University of Carleton, there is a prominent member of the Valdai Club, which is Putin's think tank.
Thank you, Mr. Bazan.